Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Cash Flow Club. And today I want to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's workshops. Now, I just want to say this for context. This is not a promise of what's to come, but the reason I love workshops is if you're growing a business or you're established and you want to grow, or you're starting out and you want to grow, the single fastest way I know of is obviously through referrals. And the best way I know to accelerate referrals is through workshops. We'll get into this in more detail in other conversations, but for now, I just want you to understand that the beautiful thing about workshops, I don't care what kind of local business you are, you can run local workshops and grow your business. And if you're a virtual or a cyber business, you can run online workshops to grow your business. Beautiful thing is you can have a combination of both. Now, I worked with a fitness studio and they were struggling to make ends meet. They wanted to grow their client base, but with the right people. And what we did was we implemented a workshop program. And these numbers may not seem like they're big to you, but they were big for the fitness studio. Um, with the workshops, they were making about $2,500 a month, charging for attendance, which was nice. And it was good cash. It paid for a lot of things, covered some overhead. But most importantly, it helped them identify the best potential clients and bring them in. And the best part was the overhead was covered because basically for these workshops, they were able to host it in their facility. The other thing was they brought in friends. So, fitness studio, fitness gym, they brought in people who talked about wellness, talked about optimizing diet, nutrition, mental health, things like that. And basically, what they did was the agreement the speaker came in, they got to speak for free on condition that they invited their client base. Now, the host facility, they charged a $50 a head entry fee. It was not a huge fee, but it was just enough that it filtered out the tire kickers and, the time wasters. And basically for $50 a head, they were able to bring in a lot of great people. And usually the mix of the room was about 50% from the speaker, 50% from the gym. So the speakers won because they got access to a new client base. The gym won because it got access to a new client base. And more importantly, the community benefited because people learned things of value. Um, Now, I think it was $50 a head, but that's not the point. The point is a good workshop brings in people. And I'm going to teach you the 12-day business growth challenge. And the reality is, I think a lot of people struggle with this because it's like, I don't know what the first step is. They don't know how to put on workshops. So, my goal in the 12-day challenge is to teach you how to run a workshop. Now, there's two ways to approach this. One, you can copy what I'm doing and do your own workshops. Or two, you can play along with me and you can invite people to one of my workshops. Either way, we both win because your people are going to learn something from me. I'm going to learn something from you. We're going to share content. I'm going to get new clients and I'm bringing people. So there's a chance you're going to get clients as well. So that's my number one thing with a workshop is I always do it with a friend. Um, a workshop can be a burden if we do it ourselves, but if we do it with other people, many hands make light work. Now, 12 is a magic number in my world, and the reason is really simple. There's 12 months in the year. I like the 12-day business growth challenge because that gives me the rest of the month to relax. So 12 is important. And we're going to talk about 12 key strategic partners. So there's a theme here, and it's really just to keep it simple. So, what we're going to cover is the 12-day business growth challenge. This is more ironically a workshop on how to do workshops. It's longer because of that, but basically, I'm going to walk you through what this looks like. Now, I'm going to give you the highlights because there's a detailed document that you can watch and review after the fact. But this will be my first tutorial. So if you're a local business, and let's pretend we're accounting firms, for example, if you're a local business and you want to grow, the reason I like use the number 12, 12 months in the year, you host a workshop, and then the other 11 months of the year, you bring in guests to co-host workshops. I can't stress that enough. Everybody's trying to build their business in isolation on their own. That is a lot of work. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on partnerships, building relationships. And by the way, most local businesses I know, especially accountants, you probably already have these connections. So instead of creating something new, we're going to build those relationships. And I just want to address up front, people say, well, should I pay referral fees, or, I don't get reciprocity. Here's the deal. You reach out to 12 people, 11 people, you're number 12, you're number 1 or 12, either way you look at it. Reach out to 11 people and say, I'm doing a workshop series for my clients. I would be honored if you'd be open to speaking at it. And what I'm willing to bring to the table is bring my clients and invite them. I'm looking for strategic partners who will reciprocate and invite their clients. So it's got to be win-win or no deal. So let's talk about the logistics of the 12-day challenge. And like I said, this is a lengthy episode because I want to teach you everything. This is not one of those I promise to teach you and then I spend all the time selling you. There's nothing to buy here. All I'm going to convince you of, actually, that's a lie. I'm sorry. What you need to buy is the concept that workshops work. If you don't buy into that, stop now because that is the premise of this. So, for what it's worth, the reason I do workshops, number one, I love to educate people. Number two, I can do marketing and sales, but I don't like it. I feel like there's too many tricks and there's um, too much deception. So here's the thing. I teach what I teach, and people either love it or hate it. For those of you who hate it, I'm not your person. Please keep going. For those who love it, come on in. Let's have a chat. So I'm going to teach you in the next hour-ish everything I know about workshops that I can fit into the hour. But I'm going to use the framework of the 12-day challenge so I don't overwhelm you. Now, what I want you to understand is take baby steps. This doesn't have to be jump in and do it all today. It can be and should be slow and steady. And by the way, what I do with these is I do a 12-day challenge. I start usually on the first of the month, and I commit myself to doing it for 12 consecutive days. Now, for those of you who take weekends off or those of you who have family commitments, I totally get it. Don't let that stop you. So, this is actually laid out, and I promise you, most of this is literally 15 minutes a day. Now, if you don't want to work weekends, you can do the extra work on a Friday or on a Monday, or I've had some keeners who sit down. Between you and me, I can do this in about an hour. So be focused and honestly, just if you're not sure about this, my advice is schedule an hour and see how far you get. If you're seeing value in it, then schedule another hour. Or like I said, I put in the first day takes about 30 minutes, second day takes about 15. It's not rocket science. This is super simple. And that's my big pet peeve. A lot of people out there overcomplicate. So I'm in the keep it super simple category. I love the KISS principle. So keep it super simple. All right, let's get into the 12-day growth challenge. First, I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do, and then I'll walk you through exactly what you need to do. So, day one, surprise, surprise, if you've heard me talk about anything at all, you know that I rant about key strategic partners and key strategic partnerships. The whole point of a key strategic partner is have synergy with your business. They're not a direct competitor. We'll get into that. I don't actually believe in the term competitor, but for a lot of people, they can't wrap their head around working with what they conceive as a or perceive as a competitor. So I'll say non-competitive strategic partners who serve the same clients you do. Now, what makes it a partnership is not that you split revenue or you pay each other. What makes it a partnership is that you're in it for a mutual win. And I usually go for at least the triple win. Bonus marks if you can get a quintuple win. But the triple win is I win by growing my business, my strategic partners win by growing their business, and our common community of prospects wins when we collaborate and share information. And by the way, if you're not one of those collaborative sharing information people, stop now because this will not work for you. So, day one, we map out our key strategic partners. Day two, so day one is about categories of strategic partners. Day two is about identifying the actual strategic partners. Um, Day three, we schedule the workshop. And what we're going to do is focus on who our 10 best clients are. And I want to point out if you're growing your business from scratch, you're going to focus on strategic partners. If you've got an existing business, you want to invite your 10 best clients. And really, truly, what we're looking to do is clone them. So, day four, we're going to actually reach out to our clients and say, I'm thinking of doing a workshop. Would you be interested? Now, day five, we're actually going to do the presentation. I have a simple formula I follow. It doesn't need to be complicated. I'll explain that. And then days 6 through 11, I'm going really easy on you. You're reaching out to two people, two key strategic partners a day for days 6 through 10, and one on day 11, which gives you a total of 11 outreaches. And like I said, if you're pressed for time, days 6 through 11, literally, I can do that in probably about half an hour to an hour. I'm allotting 15 minutes because sometimes people need time to think. And then day 12, we actually host the workshop. And you might be thinking, wow, that's crazy, Jeff. You've really compressed it. Yes, that's the point. Here's the thing about workshops, they'll take as much time as you allow them. So if you say, I'm going to schedule a workshop 90 days out, guess what? It'll take you 90 days to get ready. If you do it in 12 days, guess what? You'll get it done in 12 days. And then after you do this 12-day growth challenge, repeat it every month, at least once a month. It's designed to be 12 days, so you could technically do it twice a month. It really depends on how much growth you're looking for. If you need massive, you know, 10x growth in your business, I'd do this literally consecutively. I do a 12-day growth challenge, rest for 2 days, do a 12-day growth challenge, rest for 2 days. There's no limit on this. But the key is don't do this alone. I have a lot of people, they go, yeah, Jeff, I got it. They run out and they create a workshop. They invite their 10 clients and they don't see the results they want and they're really confused. So I'm going to give you two examples. Your results may not be typical, but this is what I've seen. One accounting firm I worked with, we did 3 workshops over 3-month period. They did one a month, and they were doing about 900,000 in revenue prior to the workshops. We doubled that in 3 months, and it was just purely through strategic partners and the workshops. Now, for those of you who are already working 60 hours a week and you're thinking, oh my God, no, I can't double that. The key thing is we're doubling our best clients, not all of our clients. And I think that's a key distinction. You can double your revenue quickly if you clone your best clients. You'll double your headaches if you clone your worst clients. So we're focusing on best clients. You do what works for you, but I recommend you clone your best clients. All right, so rinse and repeat. And if you do this right and well and you follow the templates, this should take you a grand total of 5 hours a month. And my expectation for all of you is this should be the highest and best use of your time in that month. So just think about it. I'm not saying get rid of other things. I'm not saying stop doing other things, but my advice is test this out. And when you see results, ask yourself if this is something I should reinvest my time and energy in. So before you jump in and think about, do I do this and how do I do it? Let's talk about two questions you should ask yourself up front. And the first question is, how many of your current best clients would you have to clone in order to make this a useful way to invest 5 hours of your time? If you can justify the 5 hours of time by accumulating 10 clients, that is well worth it. So jump on in. The other question I would ask is look at your existing activities and ask yourself how many of your great clients can you currently attract in a typical 5 hour period right now with your existing strategies. And basically, your success for this little experiment should be what was my return on investment per hour invested? So if I put in 5 hours, what's my investment or return on investment? And ask yourself how likely you would be to do the workshop again. So if in 5 hours you accumulate more clients than you normally get, then you might want to look at other activities and see what you might want to eliminate. So before you jump in, ask yourself what you'd like to accomplish. What's a reasonable goal? And I think it's safe to say that acquiring 10 new clients would be a really nice goal. So let's set that and use that as your benchmark. If it's not worth the effort to get you 10 clients, don't do it. But the idea is if we can get 10 clients a month, and by the way, good clients, not just clients. All right, I'm not going to read the documents to you, but I will walk through the key strategic partner categories. So we always, when we sit down with a new client, we build out the key strategic partner plan, and that includes both upstream and downstream categories of clients. So what we want to accomplish is we want to clone our best clients always. So think about key strategic partners. These are the businesses that also work with your clients. By the way, if you're in the business to business space, you are in luck. We've already done the homework for you. So as an example, a key strategic partner, I'm going to give you a really ridiculously simple one because a lot of people overcomplicate this. And my example is that of a dog walker. So a dog walker is looking for business. The number one prerequisite for somebody to work with them is blindingly obvious, but believe it or not, people miss it. The person needs to own a dog. And probably they're busy and they need to have that dog walk. But if they don't have a dog, they're not even thinking about the services of dog walker. So if you're the dog walker, somebody upstream of you is a puppy farm. I don't know what they're called. They provide puppies or a pet store that sells puppies or an adoption that adopts out dogs. But the reality is without a dog, you don't have a prospect. You don't even have somebody who's thinking about you. So if you can build a relationship with the people that provide dogs to dog lovers, then you'll grow your business as a dog walker. Now, if you think about downstream, you've walked that dog, it's going to be hungry, so it probably needs food. We want to make sure it's healthy, so it probably needs a vet. So think about the categories of non competitive businesses that also serve your community. So, as an example, the key strategic partners for dog walkers are really easy when you think of it in terms of what does that dog need to live a healthy, happy life. Obviously, there's toys, there's treats, there's training, and here's the magic. So if you think about that dog walker, they might present a workshop on the benefits of walking a dog. Why do dogs need exercise? How much do they need? How often? Et cetera, et cetera. They could do a workshop, but it's up to them to fill the room. So their workshop is only as good as the number of people in the room, the number of people that follow up that watch it. So if they're doing this on their own, it's really relying on a lot of hard work and effort for them. Now, if they do it with the benefit of their 11 key strategic partners, which we're going to talk about more, that's highly leveraged and it makes it much easier. And if you think about it, a veterinarian could easily do a presentation on, how to diagnose, when do you bring a pet in? When do you treat it at home? Here's some common ailments that puppies or dogs have. Here's how to treat them at home. Here's when to call me. Your breeder, that's the word I was looking for, the breeders of puppies. Um, they can teach you here's what to expect in the first 6 months of your puppy's life. Here's when to train it, how to train it, what to train it. You can bring in the dog trainers and say, here's the methods that work, here's a few things. Again, they're not giving away everything, they're just training something important. If you're looking at pet food, you can bring in a local organic pet food supplier, and they can talk about the benefits of organic versus dried or whatever it is. But think about the whole point is you're building a community of dog lovers who will then know you and your strategic partners, and whenever they need something, guess where they go? So that's the point. We're building community. This is not transactional. Sorry, we just knocked everything over. This is not transactional. We're not trying to sell something today. We're building a community. We're educating people. So, day one, we come up with the categories. So, in the business world, the upstream categories, if I'm an accountant, for example, and you see the accountant at the bottom of the list in my workshop, in the workbook, the accountant is at the bottom because they're kind of in the middle between upstream and downstream. And given that I'm an accountant, I want to be at the bottom of upstream or at the top of downstream. And then I work my network backwards and build the ecosystem around me where I am. This works much better as a mind map. I think maybe I'll be doing that at another time. But typical upstream categories for the business to business world, that's businesses that serve other businesses. Attorneys, usually they're there at existence. They're the ones that do the incorporation. That might include paralegals. It might include registries offices, but generally you want the commercial attorneys that literally bring new baby businesses into the world. Think of them as the doula of the business. They bring it into the world. Then we've got commercial insurance brokers. Once that new business is formed, they probably stop at their insurance broker and figure out what insurance they need. If they're looking for an office to rent or buy, they're going to see a commercial realtor. They usually set up a bank account, so they go see a commercial banker. At some point, they start to have a little stress in the business and say, I can't do it all. I need a bookkeeper. And then from the bookkeeper, they usually find their accountant. And then in my world, I do relationship marketing. So I'm downstream of the accountant because once they've got everything, books and records sorted, they're working on their cash flow, they're going to come to someone like me to help grow their business. I like to work with business coaches because they provide the mindset, they help people with growth. Maybe you need a graphic designer to grow, create logos and branding, things like that. A good commercial printer is always a great person to have in your network. And I like business brokers and investment advisors. Those are my top 12 categories, if you will. Um, there's literally dozens and dozens and dozens, but I could only pick 12, so those are my 12. If you want to play along, you can copy that or you can make your own. It's up to you. Now, day two should be easy. And I say should be because most of us know people already. Literally, if you're a functioning member of society, if you run a business, you probably know three or four or five of those just off the top of your head. So with day two, you're going to sit down with your upstream categories and your downstream categories, total of 12, you being one of them. Like I said, you should either be at the bottom of upstream or top of downstream. You want to be sort of in the middle. And basically, what you're going to do is ask yourself, who do I already know, like, and trust in these categories? And the goal is not to get as many names as you can. The goal is to get your top 12. And by the way, spoiler alert, you go in your category. You're your number one in your category, I hope. So it doesn't have to be the best, but just for starters, focus on one name per category. And if you've got the time, write down multiple names, but try to fill in as many as you can. And by the way, if you can't fill in all 12, maybe pick another category where you think, oh, I'd love to work with so and so, or oh, I send a lot of clients to this person, or that person sends me a lot of clients. Make sure you focus on people that you know, like, and trust. So the key is a lot of people don't know the difference between key strategic partners and prospects. And that's where it gets funny and amusing and embarrassing all at the same time. Somebody will show up and try to sell their thing to their key strategic partner. Don't. Here's the thing, if your partner needs what you offer and they ask you, great, but don't keep pitching them. So the distinction is simple. Key strategic partners make money from your target audience, the businesses you serve. And your audience typically spends money. So the consumer is the one that you want to present the workshop to, because the vendor is the one that you want as a partner. And I say that a lot, but people miss it. So think about the strategic partners you have and fill in. So we're looking for 11 names. It shouldn't take you long. And by the way, if you don't have all 11, you can reach out to your existing ones, whatever that is, and say, look, I'm building a network. I'm looking to do a monthly workshop in my business. I'm going to present local experts to my clients or online experts to my clients. Would you be open to participating? Now, the key to this is we'll set some expectations with the strategic partners. Participating doesn't mean you show up and take my clients. It means I bring some clients, you bring some clients, we all win. So it's got to be win-win or no deal. Now, day three is the easiest but the hardest because I think people overthink it. So basically, this is a massive action step without a lot of effort. So it's simple, but it's not easy. And what we're doing is we're pushing you beyond your beliefs and your limits so that you get comfortable with this new skill set. And I'm sorry, but the only way you truly get comfortable, you have to learn through repetition. So today we're scheduling, this is day 3. On day 5, we actually create the workshop. So what we want to do, again, it's a 12-day challenge. We're going to host our workshop on day 12. We want to book a time and start planning. So the fundamental things here are we need to ask ourselves who should attend. And that's really who are your dream clients? Who would you love to work with? Not who would you hate to work with, but who would you love to work with? And who are the key strategic partners that reach them? So we already did that work in days 1 and 2, but we're going to spend a lot of time on who throughout the challenge. So who is a big question. The next question obviously is when. So if we're looking at 12 days out, we book it on the 12th day. Keep it simple and host it on day 12. So ask yourself right now, what's day 12 of the challenge? Book that. Timing wise, people overcomplicate this. Here's the secret. I like to do Zoom workshops because then I can record them and then I can make the recording available to everybody on their convenience. You're not going to please everyone. You're not going to get the best fit. One of my favorite things to do is I reach out. We talk about day 4, we reach out. Um, I ask them and say, hey, how does this time work? Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, how about this time? Or what time works for you? Now think about your clients, your favorite clients that you're going to invite, and ask yourself, when are they generally available? If I deal with somebody who is a salesperson, I know I can have something Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, because they have more flexibility. If I'm dealing with somebody who's in the trades, I need to be careful. And usually it's either early morning or early evening for them because, they can't leave the job site to come to a workshop. And again, I deal with a lot of business to business people. So I host a lot of workshops at noon. That way they can come have lunch with me on a virtual setting, learn something, get to know some people, go back to their day, and they haven't missed a beat. So pick your time based on your audience. Now, the next question is what? What will you cover? And basically, what I like to share is you can either do the top 3 mistakes or the top 3 secrets. So the key here is it's the big things that people struggle with, and it's either mistakes to avoid or secrets of how they can optimize it. My little lesson in life, I prefer to do actually in the everything I've taught so far, we talk about the top 3 mistakes. Personally, I prefer the top 3 secrets. And it's just a language thing, but you'll attract more optimistic people with secrets and you'll attract a little bit more pessimistic people with mistakes. I personally prefer optimists, so let that be your guide. Now, we'll talk about how you prepare the presentation, but what is that? What are the frequently asked questions you get that you wish people would stop asking? What, where do they inadvertently harm themselves because they don't know any better? I once did a workshop on, running a business and how to make sure your corporate minute book was up to date and why it mattered. That was hugely popular, and people were like, oh my God, I never knew this. I just thought it was a thing. And then, how and where will your workshop be hosted? Will it be live or by video conference? My advice to you is do what's easy. So Zoom, video conference, whatever your tool of choice is easy. Live, you have to worry about, do I have refreshments? Do I have space? Do I have parking? Live is needlessly complicated. So generally speaking, unless you have a giant boardroom with a massive parking lot, don't do it live. Not until you're comfortable. And by the way, live, you've got to control a lot of things like lighting, temperature, um, there's a lot of things. And they take longer because people take time to get in, to sit down. There's always somebody who comes in late. So my advice, start with video conference. Once you nail that, then consider if live makes sense. And the most important question, I left it till last, why would participants want to attend? So basically, they're going to ask, why is my life better for having attended this? So, for example, I run workshops on key strategic partners. I run workshops on networking. And basically, the who, we answer that really well in days 1 and 2, and we'll cover it in day 4. So, let me just share an example. I have a workshop called the old version was the top 3 mistakes business owners make while building their network. The updated one, I think, is the top 3 secrets of successful business networkers. So you can see optimist, pessimist dynamic. So I pick my key strategic partners. They are in the business to business space. The first time I ran this, I just set it as, again, I did this last December. So December 1st, I launched the challenge. December 12th from noon till 1, I ran the workshop. And I put through, we will cover the top 3 mistakes that business owners make while building their network. Mistake 1, not being clear on audience. Mistake 2, not being clear on offering. Mistake 3, being tactical instead of strategic. And I'll include copies of my slides so you can see what these look like. Do not overcomplicate your slides either. We'll talk about that. All right. And I hosted it on Zoom. And basically, the why someone would attend is a participant who's sick and tired of wasting time, energy, and money on ineffective marketing would want to attend. And key strategic partners who serve businesses will also want to attend. The idea is we'll teach you some networking skills that will make your life easier. All right, day 4 is the most important and it's the most fun. And I'm going to be honest, if you skip everything else and you just do day 4, you will have great results if you do it right. So, day 4 is about building relationships with your best clients. Now, this is an observation from my days in the accounting world. Um, we tended to give our best attention to our noisiest, worst clients. They complained the most, so they got the best service. And because they complained a lot, they always got deals on their invoices, things like that. Our best clients, they were the quiet ones who we'd meet with once a year. They'd say, we love how you're helping us. Thank you very much. Here's my check. See you next year. And so what I realized was that our best clients, just because they're not noisy, they're not getting the attention they deserve. Now, the pain in the butt clients, we talked about the client portfolio analysis. The pain in the butt clients, oddly, 80% of your complaints will come from 20% of your clients. So, my goal in life is let's clone our best clients. And once we've cloned them and we've proven that we can, let's fire our worst clients. Magically, a lot of your workflow issues go away, a lot of your stress goes away, and you start making more money. And by the way, it's not magic, it's just math. If you bring in good clients who value you and pay you, they'll recommend other good clients who value and pay you. If you don't know how to get clients and you take every pain in the butt client that you get, guess what? They're going to bring you more pain in the butt clients. So focus on your best clients. Now, today, this is a day where you can add enormous value to your best clients because what you're doing is you're having a conversation with them, you're checking in with them, and you're saying, hey, I'm doing a workshop. Would this be of interest to you? And so this is about speed. Trust your gut. Your gut knows who your best clients are. Um, they're the ones you like. You don't cringe when they call. You don't go, oh, that client. Yeah, we've all had those clients. So I'm not judging, but we want to focus on the clients that when the phone rings, we hear that we're going to talk to them. we smile. Or when we look at our calendar, go, oh, yeah, I get to see them today. I always had my favorites. I believe you do too. And by the way, if you don't, then maybe you need to connect with some of them. So the only way we're going to know if our best clients will find this valuable is just to reach out and say, so we're going to list our top 10. Now, if you have a massive business, just do top 10 for now. If you have a tiny business, you might have to list all 10 of your clients. That's okay. Once we get bigger, then we can get pickier. Okay. So we're going to send an invitation to our best clients. Now it's up to you. Communicate with them the way they're used to you communicating. So if they're used to you emailing, send them an email. If they're used to you calling, call them. If they're used to voicemail, voicemail. If you text, text. Whatever they're used to, do that. Um, I like to start with email just because it's quick and easy and it's not going to take a lot of time. But basically, what you want to do, if you're really, really starting out and you really want to grow, pick up the phone. Don't be afraid of the phone, pick it up. So now you're going to send out an invitation to your 10 best clients. Now, if you don't have any clients at all and you're just starting, um, pick 10 people that you think would be good clients and just say, hey, I'm doing a workshop. Would you be interested? So you want to invite them personally. You want them to feel invited as if you care. So again, I don't do mass emails. This is literally 10 people. So usually what I'll do is I'll just create the template and I'll copy and paste it. And subject line is important. First name may ask you a favor. This you will get their attention. It's not, oh God, he's sending me a bill or what does he want now? It's, hey, this is going to be fun. And basically, you're going to put their name here and ask, would you be open to attending a presentation called blah, blah, blah? Here's what we're going to cover. Um, and basically, that's just a little overview. Keep it short. Now, this is the important part. Whether you attend or not, can you help me out? Would you take a moment to reply and let us know if any of the mistakes are relevant to you at this time? This lets you know, yes, it's important, or no, it isn't. Maybe it should be something different. But here's the cool part. If they say, yes, it is important, you can reach back out and say, would you like my help fixing it? See how that works? The most important piece, and this is the double, this is the ethical cloning of your best clients. You want to invite them to bring a friend. And whether you're selling tickets, I don't care. You can make money off of these. There's logic behind why you would charge, but I haven't put charging in because that's just another logistic that'll cause the um, think it over people to stall. So we're not gonna. For now, the first one is free. We'll worry about charge paying later. That's not important, but we're going to invite you to bring a friend. And what this does, your best clients know other best clients. So if they bring a friend, first of all, they're more likely to come. But second of all, by them telling their friend about you in the workshop, it's a really easy referral step for them. And then the friend can come along and say, yay or nay, I want to be part of this. So that's day 4. And believe it or not, it takes me longer to explain it than it will take you to do it. Now, day 5 is where we actually create the workshop. And on day 5, we're going to create our slides, we're going to create sort of our talking points, and don't overthink this. Whatever you do for a living, I promise you practice this every day. So I'm not asking you to do a doctoral thesis on quantum physics. I'm not asking you to explain gravitational pull of the moon. No, I'm asking you to explain what are the top 3 things you wish every prospect you met knew. What are the 3 secrets that they can make their life easier? What are the 3 secrets to a healthier, happier puppy? What are the 3 secrets to working better with your accountant and avoiding surprise charges? Things like that. So think about things you can offer, simple things that matter, and these should be important things that they trip on before they come to work with you. So again, if you're an accountant, you want to say, here's three things you should do in your bookkeeping so that year end is easy. If you're a bookkeeper, here's three things you can do to gather your data for me so that it'll save you time. Think about absorbing friction from your prospects and your clients. So keep it simple and to the point. And I'm going to really annoy some of you. My first ever version of any workshop I do is plain black and white slides with text on them. And by the way, that breaks every rule of best practices for workshops for slides. But here's the thing, the first round, think of it as your dress rehearsal, your opening act. You're playing in front of your friends and family, more or less. Um, you want to get the wording right, you want to get the cadence right, you want to get the order right. And if people say, well, I don't really like that slide, and you've spent 10 hours perfecting it, you're going to resist changing it. But if it's just a black and white slide and somebody says, I don't understand that word, could you explain it? Guess what? I'm going to explain that word on the next version. And here's the thing, once I've gone through the presentation 2 or 3 times, I can then give it to a professional to design the slides, or I can invest the time myself. But the reality is, don't waste time on slides until you know they make sense to the audience. So the key to this is we're legitimately focusing on educating. We live in a world where somebody decided that webinars should be sell, sell, sell. Um, People don't want to be sold. People don't want that harsh sales experience where all the walls are up and we're trying to protect ourselves. So here's what we're going to do. We educate. And the reality is we're helping them understand their problem. We're not solving the problem in this, we're helping them understand it. And one of my favorite quotes is by Charles Kettering. He was an innovator for GM for years and years, and he's known for a lot of amazing things in the auto industry. The quote is, a problem well defined is half solved. So we want them to understand the problem. What's the cost of the problem? What's the cost of not fixing the problem? What's the benefit of solving the problem? Understand those problems. And I mean it, teach them what they need to know to work with you. You know, if you're a lawyer and you do incorporations, you're going to have a whole bunch of questions and there's going to be back and forth. Why not teach them, here's what you need to bring me so we do this once? Yes, I know a lot of professionals get paid by the hour, but all hours are not the same. If you're getting paid by the hour to chase paper, that's the worst life I can imagine. Whereas if you're getting paid by the hour to add value to your client, yay, we all win. Now, create your workshop title. Don't get fancy here. Again, my templates are either top 3 mistakes the audience makes while doing what and how to avoid them, or the top 3 secrets audience makes and how to optimize them. So personally, I like the top 3 secrets. Top 3 mistakes works as well. So I have an example here. This is my top 3 mistakes business owners make while building their network. And basically, we have 12 slides. Slide 1 is the title, and it's important. We want the audience to know, is this for me? So if you're going to have the top 3 mistakes new puppy owners make, that's clear. Either I have a puppy or I don't. Um, I promise you, you're not going to sell somebody a puppy in the workshop. So it needs to be they have the puppy. Does that make sense? And again, business owners is specific. You can get way more specific. I know somebody who works with doctors who own their own medical practice, or dentists who own their own practice. Be as specific as you can and really try to target it. This should be almost a love letter to your favorite clients. So if you're inviting 10 plumbers, guess what? Top 3 mistakes plumbers make. Got it? So title slide is specific. Slide 2 is about you. And basically, they need to know who you are, why they should listen to you, and your contact details. Now, I like to engage the audience, so I always share a fun fact about myself. All right. Now, the whole thing, I just want you to say the about you should be brief. This is not, I have a pet peeve. I'm sorry. If somebody gets up and they say, back in 1963, I was born into this world and, 5 years later, I went to kindergarten and then blah, 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 I'm leaving the room. Whether it's on Zoom or in person, I'm out of the room. So here's the thing, I want you to understand this. The presentation is not about you, it's about the audience. And I'll even make a joke. I'll say, you probably don't need to know much about me. Let's move on to the fun stuff. But the reality is, be brief. And by the way, bonus points if you can do your presentation in 25 minutes or less. Um, Normally, I can do my presentation on why to do presentations in about 15 minutes. Teaching someone how to do workshops and presentations takes a little longer. So, slide 3 is really simple. It's a list of the mistakes. Um, it's just to let people know here's what we're going to cover. And then slides 4, 5, and 6, I go through each of the mistakes. And what I try to do is help them identify the mistake if they're making it and share some tips on how they can fix it. So either how to avoid it, how to minimize it, or how to recover from it. So, by the way, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So, if you can show me how to not fall on my face, I value that more than showing me how to reduce the damage to my face if I fall or how to heal my face. What's the first aid? So think about how you can help them avoid something altogether. And wherever possible, share a story. So my stories are usually I know someone who had this problem. Here's what they did to fix it. Here's what their life looked like after. And literally, it should be that quick, 3 sentences. Doesn't need to be a long story. I don't need to know what the weather was like on a stormy day in November, who was present, blah, blah, blah. Just boop, boop. The cadence needs to be punchy and to the point. Trust me, the better you are at being to the point, the better this goes over. So always tell the story. Why is this a problem? Now, flipping it around, if we're talking about the secrets, you want to reveal the secret and say, here's what people are doing. Maybe you didn't know this, but here's what people are doing that are succeeding. And again, you can talk about how they can succeed at something or how they can take the first step towards succeeding or something like that. So give them 3 success tips. Here's how you know you're successful. So again, you can teach it either from the pessimist mistake, optimist secret. So slides 4, 5, and 6 are just listing the mistakes. Now, slide 7 is you're going to share a story about how to work with you and what challenges do you help someone overcome. Make it obvious. So, for example, a ghostwriter, the challenge that that ghostwriter might help someone overcome is if you need to write a book and you're frustrated, I'm here to help you. And you can share a story. I have a friend who worked with a ghostwriter and he was terrified because he didn't know how much it was going to cost. He didn't know where to start. He didn't know if he was capable. He had imposter syndrome. And basically, when he worked with the ghostwriter afterwards, he realized that the ghostwriter did most of the work. The ghostwriter had a system. He followed the ghostwriter's system. Happily ever after, he was published. So, to the point and not take out your credit card and give it to me. Just say, here's how, for example, in my business, the first step is we get on a group call. You join one of my networking events. You join my networking group. We like each other. I'll have you on my podcast. We like each other more. I'll work with you on a book project. Simple. Lay out how somebody can work with you. Now, slide 8 is my tip slide. And these are 3 tips on what they must know to work with you. So again, if I'm a dog walker, You must know how often I'm going to walk your dog. You must know where I'm going to walk your dog and how I'm going to walk your dog. Maybe. So share some tips. What can they take away today that'll make their life better? And this is where I think most business to business people really excel. They care about their clients. This is where they can help them win easily. Now, slide 9, you want to share a quick call to action, which is, what's the next step in our relationship? You know, sign up for my newsletter, schedule a strategy session, whatever it is, give them a simple step. And then slide 10 is about questions and answers. This is where you want the bulk of your time to be. So I'll let you know that typically I try to do slides 1 through 8 slides 1 through 9 in about 20 minutes or less. Nobody has the attention span for a 2 hour workshop anymore, 20 minutes or less. And then I usually schedule 1 hour workshops and I factor in 40 minutes of Q&A. Roughly 40, but that's the goal. And bonus points if you can actually get people to practice whatever you've taught or take action on it. So, for example, if I do a workshop on doing workshops, I might get people to share their top 3 secrets, top 3 mistakes, and brainstorm. So it's not about me, it's about them. So I want to spend as much time as possible getting them to take action. Because here's the thing, if they take action at the workshop, they'll continue that action later. But if they're sitting there passively staring at you, listening to you go on, they're not going to take action. So you want them to take action. Now, slide 11, I always thank my guests and I thank my hosts and I thank my strategic partners. And again, this is something you're going to do every month. So make sure that the guests and the partners feel welcome and they want to come back. And then last but not least, I always have a feedback mechanism. And I'm a big fan of the net promoter score. So we're going to ask them on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend our workshop to a friend, colleague, client, or peer? Now, this is where Zoom is beautiful. You can actually ask those questions right in Zoom. You can do it as a poll and it'll summarize it in a spreadsheet and everything's happy. If you're doing in person, I usually do just a paper worksheet. I want to make it simple. I'll ask them for their contact details. I'll ask them for their survey. And really, truly, what you need to see this as is there something we can do to make this better? And I always give them the option to receive a digital copy of the presentation. Some people want the slide deck. I can either send the slides, notes, recording, whatever. And I'll ask them to check all that apply. And then I always want to know, what else would you like to hear about? And, is there anything we can do or anyone else that should attend? So those are some of my favorite things. If you're digital, like I said, you can do the polls in Zoom, you can do a survey in Google Forms, or you can just print it out. It's up to you. And like I said, simple is best. All right, we're getting through this. This might feel like we're taking a lot of time, but days 6 through 11, I'm going to breeze through, and then we'll talk about day 12. So days 6 through 11, I stretched it out because people were whining that reaching out to 11 people was a lot of work. Um, I I'm baffled by that. I don't see it, but the reality is this is something you get to do, not something you have to do. So basically, just reach out to your 11 strategic partners. And like I said, you can do it 2 a day, or if you're keener, you can do it all 11 at once. Personally, I always do 11 at once. It literally takes me a couple of minutes to get set up. I might as well just go boom, 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 and done. So I have a general script, and basically, we're inviting our 11 strategic partners to come, and we're inviting them to bring a friend. And basically, if they don't want to bring a friend, that's okay. If they don't want to come, that's okay. But basically, we want to share our understanding of what they do and say, I think you serve the same audience. If you're open, let's chat. Now, when you send them an email, they're going to give you one of three responses. They're going to give you a yes. That's amazing. Um, that's great. They might say no. That's okay. Thank them. That's okay. And they might say maybe. My favorite question is, what would it take to turn maybe into a yes? Now, the key to this is we want them to be clear that we are hosting this workshop. We would like you to host a future workshop. Second, bring a friend. We want them to bring a colleague or peer or multiple. But if they just bring one friend, we all win. And I'll recap the math when we're done. And we're asking them if they give us some feedback. Now, to be clear, I'm telling you to do 11 invitations. A lot of people want to do more. And just to be clear, I highly encourage that. But for your first time, keep it simple. Again, my goal for this is I have 21 people in the room. I'm ecstatic. But here's the math. I've invited 10 of my best clients and asked each of them to bring a friend. I've invited 11 strategic partners and asked each of them to bring a friend. Now, I'm going to consider it a massive win if all 10 all 10 clients and all 11 key strategic partners show up. That is a massive win. For your first workshop, usually you're lucky if you get 25, 30%. So if we get 10 plus 11, massive win. Now, if each of them does in fact bring a colleague or friend, we're going to end up with 42 people invited. That is epic, world class. Take a day off and celebrate, dance, whatever you need to do to celebrate, because that's huge. I don't expect that your first time out, but over time, that's what is possible. And anything less than 42 is still a win, so celebrate that. But think about 42, it's bowling the perfect game. It's, a baseball game with no pitcher errors or whatever. It's the perfect day. And so we want to make sure we invite these people and ask for their feedback. Now let's get to day 12. And day 12 is the most important day, obviously, but don't stress over it. So here's a little secret. If nobody shows up, great. You've got a dress rehearsal period booked. If everybody shows up, amazing. You've got a workshop. But here's the thing, no matter what, the first time around, do the workshop. Even if it's just you talking to you, that's okay. I once did a workshop with 3 people in the room. With their permission, I said, I'm going to shut the slides off. I'm going to sit down at the table. Let's have a conversation. But again, with Zoom, it's great because you can just hit record and go. Now, make sure you've got your slide deck. We've covered that already. You want to confirm who's coming and you want to share logistics. So after people, I like something simple like a Google Doc or Eventbrite. You can just have them RSVP by email, and basically just send them an email before the event, the day before, and then an hour before, saying, hey, just a reminder, the event's coming up tomorrow. Here's the time. Here's the link, blah, blah, blah. Make everything easy for them to find. Here's the agenda. And, I like to show people that it's a workshop. And here's the key. Workshop, you get something done. Now, I'm not going to talk about the physical events. All I can say about physical events is show up early. There's always a surprise. And just make sure the room is set up the way you need it. Now, with virtual events, this is, I think, the one I think people get needlessly nervous. But here's the thing, if you're hosting a virtual workshop, have a wired connection. Zoom in particular, but I think all video conferencing tools are optimized for wired. So if you're on Wi-Fi, you don't want to be the presenter who freezes. You don't want people going, is he there? What happened? So test your audio, test your video, make sure your slides are ready to share. Open the room 15 minutes early, greet people as they come in. If you have time, let people introduce themselves and present your slides focusing on the audience and the stories. And again, you're the host. Thank your guests for coming and give them an easy way to stay in touch. So that is my 12-day business growth challenge in detail. I hope it serves you. And all I can say is um, I've gotten clients literally every workshop I've ever hosted, and I got 0 clients for the workshops I didn't host. So you decide if it's worth the math, but you decide if it's worth the effort. Again, I'm not going to try to convince you. If you don't believe it's worth the effort, I won't convince you. But if you believe it is worth the effort, I will move heaven and earth to help you. I believe that strongly in the power of these amazing workshops. And there is a reason I do it this way. I'm not going to go into all of the science of it, but a well done workshop where you remove barricades, obstacles, you give people hope, those will bring you clients all day long, every day. You don't need to get better at sales. You don't need to get better at marketing. And the magic is the right people are drawn to you. People who aren't a fit aren't. So that's why I host these. And again, if you have more than 12 days, sit down with each of your clients, your best clients, and ask them, what else could I offer you? How else can I help you? What do you wish I told you? What do you wish you knew about business or dogs or whatever your subject is? Now, this is specifically designed for accountants. I've seen many, many accounting firms grow. Back in the day when I had my accounting practice, I didn't know anything about marketing, didn't know anything about sales, decided I didn't want to. So, what I did was I hosted a monthly workshop and I invited all my favorite clients and I invited them to bring friends. I doubled my accounting practice 3 years in a row. We'll talk about that another day because that wasn't the best idea. I'm going to be honest, I learned a lot of these lessons the hard way. Back then, I just doubled my practice. So I invited all of my clients and I got the pain in the ass clients as well as the good clients. So um, I'm much more intentional now. I'm very much about the Pareto principle. I'm very much about attracting the best clients and cloning them. So I hope this video was useful to you and I can't wait to hear your results on the 12-day challenge. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you and to your wellness.